All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So, this is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part time job in the world. That can be found at www.highestpaidparttimejobintheworld.com. And what we're going to go into really fast, this post Thanksgiving video is how your pricing communicates how much your customers should pay you. And so this is going to be a really good video for people that are in business. I got a lot of people on my Facebook page, on my YouTube page, on my Instagram. They're self-employed, they're sole proprietors, they got LLCs, S corps, they're in business for themselves. And one of the biggest challenges a lot of people have is understanding how to get the value that they think they should get out of the market and how their pricing is communicating that value, right, to their ideal customer. And so this is going to be a really good video for a person that wants to understand one piece of the puzzle. There is no universal template for business success. You have to take different pieces of the puzzle and keep putting those pieces together till the actual puzzle works for you, right? So what we're going to talk about is this piece of the puzzle, which deals with pricing, psychology, and kind of how your business is modeled out, right, to kind of determine how much your customers should pay you. And so to get you to kind of understand it, I'm going to give you a really quick story. There's a guy, I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll start right there. I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia. And one thing about Atlanta, Georgia was that there were a lot of people there that were personal trainers. And the reason why most of the people there were personal trainers is because it's a very low barrier to entry to get into that particular space. And so a lot of people saw that as a good way for them to try to generate some revenue. However, in Atlanta, because there were so many personal trainers and so many people calling themselves personal trainers, what people wanted to pay personal trainers was very low, especially for private trainers. So a lot of people were struggling to support themselves as trainers because they couldn't really understand how to differentiate themselves in the marketplace, how to really separate themselves from the average person. And so as a result, there wasn't a lot of money in personal training in Atlanta if you really didn't understand how to do those things. So you would be doing courses and doing training programs for like under $100, right? To work this person out for like an hour. And you may say, well, hey, that's $100, but it depends on how many clients you have that particular day because you have to give a lot of your time to that particular client. Well, there's a guy that used to work out professional athletes, and his name is Tim Grover. And Tim Grover has his business set up to where he primarily only works out elite level athletes. We're talking about some of the top guys in the NBA. And he charges a lot of money to work those guys out. And one of the reasons why he does it is because he understands what we're going to talk about in this particular video. So he really what some people will call a personal trainer. But as a personal trainer, he's only working out the elite level guys. Like he won't work out high school kids. And he doesn't really work with a lot of college athletes, and he doesn't work with a lot of NBA athletes. And we're going to talk about the reason why in this video. Because even though he's what some people would just call a personal trainer, by the way he presents himself in the marketplace, he attracted a certain type of person that wants what he brings to the table. And we're going to go into that and how your pricing really communicates how much your customers should pay you. So let's get into it. So when you're in business, there's three ways that you can get paid. You can get paid for your time, you can get paid for your expertise or your credentials, and then you can get paid for the results that you've been able to create in other people's lives. And when you look at these things, you can do it exclusively or you can do like an overlap. So if you understand like a Venn diagram, you can have circles in which the circles have a point at which they intersect, which elements of the circle overlapped into each other, right? So they may share a commonality. So you can get paid for time and expertise. You may get paid for time and results. You may be getting paid for expertise and results. You can overlap them. But what we're going to do in this particular presentation is we're going to try to really look at them exclusively first, and then we can bring it all together. So what you got to understand is that when we're looking at people that get paid for time, primarily they're going to be laborers. So most people in America are selling their time to a job in exchange for what they're doing for that job, and then they get a paycheck. So the average person gets paid for their time. A lot of service people get paid for their time, right? So when I say service professionals, I mean not necessarily bartenders and people like that. I mean people that are providing a service like tradespeople, right? Those kind of people are getting paid for their time. And it also, when you say tradespeople, also mean highly skilled professionals. So you could be providing a service but not be considered a highly skilled professional. But if you're a highly skilled professional, you're also providing a service. So when you're looking at a guy who says, hey, I'm going to come into your house and I'm going to do your plumbing, right? He's a service person. He's providing a service, but he's also a highly skilled professional, but he's selling you his time. He's normally selling you his time per hour. When you go to an auto mechanic, they're selling you their time per hour. These are the kind of people that are selling you their time per hour. But also when you go into the medical professional, a lot of times you're dealing with a highly skilled professional and they're selling you their time per hour. So like nurse practitioners in a lot of markets, they usually make starting at $100 an hour, and it just goes up based on the market that they're in. So they're getting paid for their time. They're selling their time to a person, or they're selling time to an institution, and that's how they get paid. And a lot of time that impacts how much the person is willing to pay them, because they're looking at it like, well, how many hours is it going to take you to perform this particular job? And then based on that, that's how I'm going to break down what they're going to pay you. Okay? And so when you set your time per hour, you have to really communicate to people, right, how much you're worth. I reached out to this guy that's online, kind of presents himself as a guru in the space of like black business. And I reached out to him with an offer to do some services for him. And when he came back to me, he said, well, how much do you charge per hour? I knew immediately then that he did not have the kind of budget that I was looking for, because I didn't get paid per hour, I got paid per project. So you got to understand is that the fact that he came at me with an hourly structure meant that he didn't have the kind of budget that I was looking to get paid for what I was bringing to the table. And I immediately knew that by the kind of question he asked me. So when you start looking at getting paid per hour, yeah, you can make a lot of money. A tax attorney can make $600 an hour, right? But people will really start to micromanage the hours that they're paying you, right? Because they're paying you by hour, and that's how they're going to budget out how much money they want to pay you for that particular situation. The next way you can get paid is for your expertise, and sorry about the misspelling, and your credentials, right? And so another way, highly skilled professionals get paid for their expertise or credentials, and also entertainers, right? So entertainers, once you reach a certain level of notoriety, you're bringing in a credential, which is your notoriety. So let me give an example of highly skilled professionals. Expertise, computer programmers, right? They always talking about getting certified, having these certs, right? They're getting paid for their expertise, but they're also getting paid per hour. But they're getting paid because they're certified in a particular area. If you are what we call a master electrician or a master mechanic, or you're a master in your trade, you got that particular type of certification, you're getting paid for your expertise, you're getting paid for your credentials, right? You're also getting paid per hour, but you're leading in, right? Well, I should be able to get more money out of the market because I have an expertise or a credential in this area. Then you also look at entertainers. So Dave Chappelle, whatever entertainer, Beyonce, I heard, gets a minimum of $1 million a show, right? She gets paid for her credential. So one of the ways in which laborers are communicated the way to get more money out of the market is they're told, and we've been told this for decades, is you have to raise your level of expertise and credential. We always heard about go get an education, yada, yada, yada. The challenge is that you still have to go to somebody a lot of times, and y'all have to agree on a price point in which they're going to pay you for your expertise or credentials. And a lot of times they're still trying to look at your pay per hour because that's how they're doing their budgeting. So even though you may bring in a large degree of expertise and a large degree of credentials, they're still looking at you like how you're getting paid per hour, right? So you always got to understand that. But this is another way to get paid. Now, a third way to get paid is you start talking about results. And we were talking about Tim Grover, which was a trainer. So we'll talk about people that get paid on the fact that they provide results for people, right? And so they created a totally different model. So let me give you an example. So Tim Grover essentially was an athletic trainer. He had a degree in something called kinesiology, if I'm pronouncing that the right way, right? Was really like exercise science. He started working with Jordan in the 80s. And when he started working with Jordan, he was able to make a lot of progress with Jordan. And then Jordan kind of went on that run where, you know, he got 3 championships and he retired and came back and got another 3. So the whole time he was working with Tim Grover. Tim Grover was able to leverage his results with Jordan to pick up Scottie Pippen and then pick up a lot of other top level athletes. At one time, he was working out with a lot of Nike guys. Now, Grover only worked with some of the top people in the NBA. Didn't work with high school guys, did not work with college guys. So he let it be known in the marketplace, I only want to work with these top level professionals. Why? Because I have a results-based business. So if I know that you don't really want results, it doesn't make sense for me to work with you because I'm not doing this just because you're giving me money. A lot of guys in the NBA are happy they made the NBA. That's as far as they're really trying to take their career. So they won't be a good candidate for Tim Grover because what he's trying to do is sell results. So almost a decade later, or really a decade later, Kobe goes and works out with this guy. Why? Because that's the same guy that worked out Jordan. So Kobe understands that this guy can provide results that I want. And when you're dealing with somebody like Kobe Bryant, they got the same mentality of Jordan. They're results based, but they're not putting the the responsibility of results on the trainer. They want the trainer to essentially give them feedback and accountability. Kobe's going to give the results. So if Grover tells Kobe, we got to work out at 5:30 in the morning, Kobe's up at 3 o'clock for a 5:30 workout. Why? Because he understands the responsibility for the results is on me. So you're going after a totally different client, because the average person or the average prospect, if they want the provider to guarantee the results, and there's no guarantees. What Grover does is creates the framework, he creates the follow-up, he creates the accountability, but he understands the kind of people that are good candidates for what I bring to the table. They're going to put the responsibility for the results on themselves. And so that's how you got to really understand. I have an offer right now. I'm moving my business to marketing and pricing based on the results I've been able to create for people, as opposed to getting paid for my expertise or my credentials or getting paid for my time. Why? Because to me, it's a better way to get paid. It's a more fulfilling way to get paid based on results. But you have to understand that the way you're communicating to your customer what you're worth is based on how you're pricing and how you modeled out how you want to get paid. And a lot of times you can struggle with that, because you may want Tim Grover money, but you're charging people by the hour, or you're charging people by the session. And their attitude is that, well, I want to just pay you what I think a session is worth. Whereas a trainer, you may say, I'm able to provide these results for people. Here's my case study of results. And therefore, because I can provide these results, this is how I want to get paid. And then you have to find a market of people that desire those results enough to pay you for it. So Tim Grover's not a good candidate for a 19-year-old high schooler, because he's not going to want to pay Tim Grover what Tim Grover's value is. Tim Grover's a good candidate for the top 20 guys in the NBA. He also worked out, I want to say one time, Jameis Winston. So Jameis Winston may not have had the career that people thought he was going to have, but he was willing to do the work that Tim Grover desired. He was also willing to pay Tim Grover the money that he talks about, because if you read Tim Grover's book, one of the things he talks about is that he cuts all sugar out of your diet. Well, already he's disqualified the majority of the planet right there, because most people are addicted to sugar. If you're going to work out with Tim Grover, you got to cut all the sugar out of your diet, all of it. So you got to understand is that what he brings to the table is a results-based system, as opposed to you paying him per session or you paying him for the hour. So when you're looking at your business, kind of ask yourself, based on the lifestyle that you want to have in your business, based on how you want to get paid, based on a model that you've created that you have to utilize to deliver and fulfill in your business, how do you want to price everything out? Do you want it to be based on your time, where you're selling people by the hours? Do you want it to be based on your expertise or credentials, and that's what you're going to lead with, but essentially you're going to go back to selling your time? Or do you want it to be based on the results that you're going to bring to the marketplace? And then from there, you got to find people that are willing to pay you based on what you say your offer position is. And that can be challenging for a lot of people, but I'm telling you that if you know that you have a good offer, you'll be able to find your marketplace, and you have to just really do what Grover does. Grover don't have a long clientele. He doesn't have a massive clientele list, but the people that he has worked with, the majority of them have found success. So your success may not be working with a lot of people. It may be working with a small group of people, getting results for them, and then you market those results to your next client. Because once Grover worked out with Jordan, he didn't have to worry about anybody else, because that's the case study that everybody else wanted. That's what brought in Kobe. You know what I'm trying to tell you? And then working out with Kobe was what brought in Dwayne Wade. And working out with Dwayne Wade is what brought in Agent Zero. So because the fact that you had the client that you was able to have an amazing amount of results with, right? Because he really was an ideal client for what you were trying to bring to the table, that provided the bridge to everybody else. So ask yourself, when you're building out your business and you start looking at your pricing and your modeling, how am I pricing this to get what I want to get out of the marketplace, as opposed to how am I pricing this to get the easiest customer? I had a conversation with a person the other day, and I told them my price to consult with them. And I told them my price is based on the results I'm able to get for people. It's not based on the hour. The time is not relevant to the result. The result is more important than the time I'm going to spend with you. So if that person really desired the result that I can provide for them, they would have paid me. But I think they was looking at it more of, I want to just talk to you for a certain amount of time, as opposed to I want to get a result. And for that particular offer, it's not priced that way anymore. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? And then you have to have so much belief in the value that you're bringing to the marketplace, and understand that you have to find the right market for what you're doing. Wherever they're at, they may be an instilled bull turkey somewhere, that you're going to stick to your offer and the value until you find that right market, by believing that that market is out there and that there's people that are looking for your solution. And that's how you're going to build your business. So let me see if there's any questions. All right, there's no questions. So if you have any questions about this, hit me up in the comments. If you know somebody that can get value from it, share it out. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you later.